Hello everyone, I'm Alan Thrall here at Untamed Strength Gym in Sacramento, California. Today I'm going to be talking about dips and pain. Do dips cause you shoulder or sternum pain? If so, this video might be for you. So dips used to bother my sternum. The sensation would be one that felt like something was going to rip or pop on any rep. And it was very uncomfortable. I've tried to incorporate dips into my routine in the past, but I've never had success. I always end up ditching it just because of the discomfort. At one point I was able to bench press 360 pounds and I would bench multiple times a week with no issues, but just doing a set of bodyweight dips hurt my sternum, and so I wouldn't do them. I have been doing dips consistently now for about 15 months, and I'm happy to report no issues, no pain. If dips cause you pain, I've got a couple suggestions for building up some tolerance to that movement, and hopefully you'll be able to push dips hard with no issues. So I don't have an exact plan for you. This video will guarantee nothing because I don't know your current situation. Does the dip hurt your sternum, your shoulders, your elbow? Does it hurt with 1 rep, 5 reps, 10 reps? I don't know, but maybe something in this video helps you out. So I've got 10 tips. Here we go. Tip number 1, start slow. Incorporate dips into your routine 1 time per week. That's a low enough frequency that should be pretty tolerable if you go about it the right way. 1 time per week is only one variable. So if you say I'm going to start doing dips twice a week, that might be too much, and then you have to scale things back to 1 time per week. So I think that 1 is a good enough variable to know if something's working or if it's too much, not enough, etc. I think that 1 time a week is appropriate because it's enough frequency. Incorporating dips into your routine bi-weekly or every 3rd week or just every once in a while, I don't think is frequent enough to allow yourself to adapt to that new stress. So 1 time per week is enough in my opinion. Tip number 2, expect nothing. Do not expect anything out of the movement. Don't expect a bunch of muscle hypertrophy. Don't expect weekly progress. Don't expect to get a sick pump. Don't expect anything at the start. You have to earn the dip's trust. You've neglected the dip for so long, you have to earn back its trust. It's sort of like an abused dog. You don't expect him to wag his tail and be happy to see you right away. You've got to be patient. You've got to earn the dog's trust. Let him know that you are there for him. You are committed to this relationship. Don't expect anything from the dog in return. The dip is the same. You've got to work for the dip before it works for you. You have to earn the right to bear the fruits of the dip. So don't expect anything at the start. Think of the dip just as a stretch. You don't need a sick pump. You don't need a bunch of muscle fatigue. It is just a stretch. Or you could think of the dip as a rehab movement. So if you were to start a new rehab movement, you wouldn't immediately think, okay, how am I going to PR this movement? The dip is just used as a way to expose your tissues to that movement. Just think of it like that. Expect nothing. Tip number 3, don't expect it to be pain-free. This really goes with any sort of rehab or overcoming any sort of pain in the gym. If dips have bothered you for years, don't expect the pain to just magically disappear because you watched this YouTube video. Pain is weird, and there's a lot of psychological inputs at play when you do a movement that historically hurts. So the important thing regarding pain is to ensure that the pain does not get worse. If you're doing a set and if you're starting again with dips, if the pain, or I should say the discomfort, stays the same, you're okay. No need to, put up any red flags. If the pain is getting worse, then yes, you need to scale things back. But if the pain is, or the discomfort I should say, is staying the same, or best case scenario, it's actually reducing as the sets go on because you're warming up, that is all good news. Tip number 4, don't start with dips. You can start with dips if you want, just kind of depends on the severity of your situation. But if dips seriously bother you, I would suggest starting with some deficit push-ups so that you can get that deep stretch on your pecs and your shoulders. You could also do ring push-ups where you bottom out the ring push-ups, or TRX strap push-ups with a full range of motion. Once those become comfortable, you can start doing guillotine push-ups to where your elbows are flared out at almost 90 degrees to your body. That's going to put a really deep stretch on your sternum, on your pecs, and it's going to put your shoulders in a position that it is probably not used to. It's probably never been in. So I think it's a good progression to go deficit push-ups, ring push-ups, and then maybe even guillotine push-ups, just to put yourself in those extreme positions that a very deep dip demands. Tip number 5, drop your ego. Do dips on an assisted dip machine if you have one, or use a band. I don't care if you used to bench 405 and you're not going to look a fool by doing assisted sissy dips in a packed commercial gym in front of everyone else. I actually posted a video recently on my Instagram, just a highlight video, some clips of training, and in it I posted a very quick video of me doing assisted dips before I was doing weighted dips. And someone had said, it's really weird, it's really odd to see a guy who's as strong as you doing assisted dips. I don't think this guy was being mean, he just might have stated something that he observed. I think you should stay in your lane, worry about yourself, and stay in your lane, focus on what you're doing, focus on your starting point, don't worry about what everyone else thinks. So drop your ego. Assisted dips on an assisted dip machine can be like a set of crutches, and I don't mean this as an insult, it can help you learn how to walk again. Doing assisted dips can really help you focus on the movement without fear or getting over some of that fear. It also helps eliminate the need for balance and eliminate swinging and things like that. I still do assisted dips as a warm-up for my dips if I'm doing dips first in my workout. Nothing wrong with assisted dips with a machine or with a band. Tip number 6, have a rep range. You don't need to start with max reps to failure right off the bat. Start with something, if I'm going to have to give you any number, I would say start off with 10 to 15 rep range. What this does is it gives you a total number of reps, but it gives you a rep range to work within. So it can also help you determine how much assistance to use or not use. Meaning if you can only do 8 reps, you know that you need to add some assistance so that you can hit that 10 to 15 rep range. But if you're going and you're doing 25 or 30 reps, you might need to reduce some of that assistance so that you can get in the 10 to 15 rep range. This is just a rough recommendation. You could go a little higher than that if you want. I think that if you're doing really high reps, they can be exhausting to do really high reps because your balance and stability tends to be a limiting factor with these. So 10 to 15 reps, personally, I think is manageable. Tip number 7, EMOM sets or total reps. So if you don't have an assisted dip machine that allows for precise loading, incremental loading, and all you have is a single band, you might find that you get 15 reps on the first set, and then the second set is only 10 or 11, the next set's like 6 or 7, whatever it is. Just try to focus on total reps. So if you want to do 30 total reps or 40 total reps, trying to get that in as few sets as possible, that matters most. You don't have to stick within that. Again, because you can't always just add another band or use a stronger band. You might only have one band. So total reps can help. If you find that there's a certain number of reps, once you get to a certain number of reps, the pain starts. Like, for example, they feel fine until you get to the 8 to 10 rep range and you start feeling some of that pain. Try to stay behind that curve. Do fewer reps, higher sets. So instead of doing 3 sets of 10, you might do 7 sets of 3 reps, or even 10 sets of 3 reps, or something like that. 7 sets, I shouldn't say 7 sets of 3, 7 sets of 4 or 5 reps. Or 10 sets of 3 reps, and keep the rest periods between sets short. That's why I like EMOM work, every minute on the minute. Tip number 8, don't be afraid to dip into lower rep ranges. So there's a reason this is all the way back at number 8. Once your tissues have adapted and bodyweight dips feel good, you can drop down into the single digits. Dips don't need to be high rep sets, high rep finisher exercise. You can do these as a strength movement. If you like your 5x5 on bench press or overhead press, you can do a 5x5 weighted dips. I actually feel like I can push dips harder and I can be much more intense when I do them weighted versus body weight. Because when reps climb over 12 to 15, balance and stability get to be really challenging. If you think about it, the only contact point is the bar in your hands. That's it. That's all. Your feet are floating off the ground. Your body's not supported by anything. It's just your hands on that little bar. It's not like a bench press where you're laying on a bench, your whole back is on the bench, your feet are on the ground, so you have a lot of stability. Doesn't exist with the dip. So I can really produce maximum force into the bars when it's weighted. And in a way, the weighted dips can actually help control the swing too. So anyways, weighted dips feel great. I can stretch the hell out of my pecs and my shoulders. I can push these extremely hard. I can produce a lot of force. And it just feels good to have the ability to do that. Also, one thing that popped into my head that I should mention, it's not an extra tip, but if you start doing weighted dips like 5x5 or 3x5 or whatever the rep range, but you start doing weighted dips at a higher intensity, realize that that's added pressing volume. Dips is not just a supplemental exercise. It does not have to be just a supplemental exercise. It's not like you're just tacking on some tricep work onto your routine. If you're already doing quite a bit of bench pressing, a horizontal pressing, and vertical pressing, and you just throw in a dip 5x5, too much. You're going to have to scale back some of that other pressing volume in order to make things even, at least at first. Tip number 9, use small plates. When you are ready to start doing weighted dips, don't be afraid to use a 5-pound plate and a 10-pound plate. People seem to think that the only plates they can use for weighted pull-ups or weighted dips are 25s and 45s, I guess because it looks cool. But you can use small plates. I know it's kind of silly to see, so when I first started doing weighted dips, to see a 205-pound dude with a little 10-pound plate between his legs looks kind of silly, but whatever, who cares? Stay in your lane, do your thing. So when I did start doing weighted dips, I did actually use a 10-pound plate. And what this did after a while is made me realize that adding 10-pound weights didn't actually do anything in terms of performance, meaning, just for sake of numbers, I'm going to say 10 reps. I was doing body weight sets of 10 reps, and I felt like, okay, this isn't challenging enough. I feel fine. I can add some weight. So I added a 10, and I didn't notice any difference. I was still getting the same number of reps at relatively the same intensity, same difficulty. And so that did a lot for my confidence. I said, oh, I can actually add a little bit more than 10 pounds. But I would still start with smaller plates if you need to. There was also a time when I moved to the 25-pound plate, and I was doing dips with 25-pound plate. And I would go back and forth in my head to say, should I go to 35 pounds? Should I go to 45 pounds? Whatever it was. Should I stay with 25 or should I go 35? 25 or 35? And then I realized, why don't I just add a 2.5? So I put a 2.5 on to my additional to the 25-pound plate. And again, didn't notice that it made really any difference. And then I would add 5 pounds. And I would do pretty much the same performance. So it was kind of easing me into adding more weight. But don't be afraid to use small plates if you need to. I kind of think of this, this is a side note, but I think of this similar to RPE. So if you do 1 rep at RPE at 400 times 1 rep RPE 8, what would have happened if you did 395? It probably would have been RPE 8 still. If you did 405, still would have been RPE 8. Maybe even 410, still would have been RPE 8. Just because you go from 400 for 1 rep at RPE 8 to 405 doesn't mean it's going to go to RPE 9 and then 410 is RPE 10. It's not how it works. So there's this range for your 1 rep at RPE 8. There's also a range for your 10 reps at RPE 9 or 10 reps at RPE 10. My 10 rep at RPE 10 might not be 25 pounds. It might be 22 to 32 pounds. There's a range, so you can play within that. Okay, I'm getting off topic here. And number 10, let progress come to you. This isn't exclusive to just the dip. This applies to all training, but try to focus on progressive loading rather than progressive overloading. This is something that barbell medicine has preached for years. So don't always assume that you have to do more than you did last time. You have to do more reps or you have to do more weight. If you do the same workout over and over and over and over and over, it doesn't mean that you're wasting your time. If you did this specific workout today and then next week you did the same workout, it doesn't mean you're wasting your time because it's not heavier. That is progressive loading. That's how you actually get stronger. You just do something over and over and over and over and over and you get stronger. Now you are able to add weight. Progressive loading is not, or progressive overloading is not something that you force. It's not that I'm stuck here so I just have to put on more weight and then now I'm just instantly stronger. You do something over and over and over and over. You adapt to that. You are now stronger. Now you have to change the weight in order to facilitate that new strength that you have. So chase progress just through consistency and patience. Don't chase progress in a sprint. Don't simply chase performance numbers in the gym. Just be patient. Let progress come to you. That's it. Thanks for watching, and always remember, train on time.